Mr. President, and through you to the members, I rise today in support of my amendment to end discriminatory outcomes at vocational schools in Massachusetts. I have filed this amendment because over the last 20 years, our vocational schools have drifted away from their mission to train and deliver our local and regional skilled workforce. And this is the root cause, if not the singular cause, of the workforce crisis that we find ourselves in today as a Commonwealth. Every sector of our industry, healthcare, manufacturing, building trades, the life sciences, is sounding the alarm of the threat to our economy if the state fails to meaningfully address our workforce shortage. And it's time for the Commonwealth to critically re-examine how career and vocational high schools are aligned with our local and regional labor markets and our workforce demands. In the 2022-2023 school year, more than 22,000 eighth graders applied for 10,500 ninth grade seats at the state's career and vocational high schools. 27 of 28 schools rank ordered students using selective admissions criteria that discriminated against the most vulnerable eighth graders in the state. We discriminated against poor kids, we discriminated against English language learners, we discriminated against students with a disability, and we discriminated against Black people and brown people. In the public school system in Massachusetts, that's unacceptable, that's wrong, and that's got to change. The results of these admissions policies create measurable harm to our communities by disproportionately excluding the very students that would benefit the most from a non-traditional academic environment and opportunity and be the most likely to enter our local and regional economies and utilize a trade immediately after graduation in the workforce. And so we need to recognize that the demand for career and vocational education, those 22,000 applications, is artificial. And that is many eighth graders that are applying to these schools across the state don't plan or intend or ultimately utilize their trade. Rather, they are attracted to apply to these schools because of their academic prestige, which has been buttressed by 20 years of selective admissions that admit and aggregate top-performing students first. And the data bears that claim out. Our Vocs have never sent more students to higher ed and less students into the workforce than they do today. And to be clear, we should be proud that students, the thousands of students at our vocational schools graduate and matriculate to outstanding four-year colleges each year. But we should not be proud that our vocational school systems cherry-pick these top-performing students for competitive seats to the detriment of students from disadvantaged backgrounds that will not pursue higher education after high school. So as a result, a growing number of high school graduates from economically disadvantaged backgrounds who face the highest barriers to higher education enter the labor force without any access to career and vocational training. And to put a finer point on it, the poorest kids in the poorest corners of our Commonwealth have the least access to learn a trade. In our 26 gateway cities here in the state, when kids who are growing up in poverty, kids who come from a household and a family that is interacting with a safety net program, apply to attend a ninth grade, get a seat in ninth grade at a vocational school, they are denied admission 60% of the time. And so the mission of our trade schools cannot be to serve as preparatory academies for college-bound students who happen to be more affluent than their peers that are denied admission. Replacing the current selective criteria admissions regime with a lottery system would fix current inequities by restoring a basic principle of fairness to the state's admission system. Every eighth grader that applies to a vocational school will have the same chance of getting in as the next, withholding for the social determinants that inform things like grades and attendance and discipline issues. In last year's admission cycle, schools that adopted a lottery for the first time, Assabet Valley Tech, Worcester Tech, meaningfully closed and eliminated opportunity gaps in admissions between protected classes of students and their peers. Lotteries worked. And lotteries have worked for 30 years at our charter school systems, where every applicant gets treated the same as every applicant and has the same chance of gaining admissions for a scarce public good. So once vocational schools cease to be magnets for top-performing college-bound students through selective admissions, applicant demand will more closely reflect students that want to pursue vocational education for their more imminent career aspirations. High-performing academic students will be more attracted to the AP and honors programs at their comprehensive high schools. In this respect, lotteries will work to restore and practice the historical mission of our trade schools, to train and deliver the indispensable local and regional skilled workforce of tomorrow to our communities, and be a vehicle for economic mobility. So I agree with the many voices that are crying out for more capacity, and we do desperately need more vocational programming. But to build it, let's get the trades back into our comprehensive high schools in a meaningful way. New dollars to career and vocational education should be specifically targeted to non-college bound juniors and seniors that want to learn a trade but currently have no access to training. The cost of building a new school in Massachusetts might be $350 million. Imagine the economic opportunity that we would create if we took that same investment and spread it across each of the state's 26 gateway cities to build vocational training capacity at existing high schools. The space, the equipment, the human capital to create pathways into the trades for kids headed directly into the labor force after graduation. The state can administer these grants and keep the tax burden off the poorest corners of our state. And so in conclusion, one of the reasons I am so proud to be a part of this chamber and a member of this body is we do not blink to make sure that our safety net is robust and strong. And I would just ask my colleagues that we act with the same boldness, the same conviction, and the same sense of urgency to create economic opportunity for the least among us and the kids who are growing up in poverty in the Commonwealth. And I'd also just like to call attention to the opportunity that's before us. Without appropriating a single dime more, we can change a system that is not working for the poorest kids in the poorest places. By adopting a lottery admission system, which my amendment proposes to do, we ensure the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who will be applying to these schools in the next year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years, who are growing up in poverty in Massachusetts, we ensure with a lottery system that thousands of them will be able to access a Chapter 74 vocational education without appropriating a dollar. Why wouldn't we do that? We should. And I'm so grateful to my colleagues for the attention that this issue has got over the past week. I look forward to collaborating and engaging to get something done that strikes a blow at generational poverty and that addresses this issue in a system that is broken in so many corners of our Commonwealth in the coming months. And I ask that we do act with urgency and we return to this matter. With that, Mr. President, I request unanimous consent to withdraw the amendment.
Request unanimous consent to withdraw his amendment. Without objection, the amendment is withdrawn. Senator Tarr offers another amendment which the clerk will read. I'm sorry. Senator Goby offers